Nobody's won it again. All right, Mitch, just take your time.
Oh. Oh, gosh. Oh. Well, let me lead off by saying, first of all, thanks for everybody for being here. From time to time, we have announcements and we want to abreast you of everything that we're doing. And so from time to time, we have announcements, and sometimes they're not the biggest of all time, but like I said the other day, whether they've got umpteen zeros behind them or just a few zeros, they're important to the ones that are here. But today we've got umpteen zeros behind. And this is an incredible announcement for West Virginia. We're graced by our great Senator, Shelley Capito. She's with us today, and our President, Mitch Carmichael. But our honored guest, besides the delegates and the senators maybe that are here with us, or is our very honored guest is Jack Waters. I mean, he is and let me get this correct, Jack is the chief is a big word. I mean, when you put chief with something, it's pretty daggum significant. Technology officer and president, you see, chief exceeds president of the Fiber Solutions. Now here's even more important. He's a WVU graduate. He's a WVU graduate. I think really Jack probably is going to be, a little embarrassed for me to say this, but maybe not. But I think he's the second in command of Zayo, and Zayo is all over the universe. And they do an incredible job, probably the best of the best. And so we have the second in command of an incredible, major company, worldwide company, and lo and behold, he's a WVU graduate. So at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer, if you dig deep enough in the hole, you're going to find West Virginia that's running the whole universe. So we're proud of him. He's here. He's going to go to the ball game. He's looking forward to WVU, maybe doing a bit better than they did the last go-round. But anyway, we're really proud to have him. And now I'm going to let them speak just a second, and then I'm going to kind of anchor and bring up the rear. But Shelley, you want to lead us, or yeah?
Well, I don't know if I need to get behind you.
Yeah, you go over there, Shelley. You'll do better.
Get the seal of the governor?
Yeah, sure. You can have that if you'd like it.
I like it.
Okay.
Yeah, don't downplay that governor thing. Anyway, we're really pleased to be here, and thank you, Governor, for the invitation.
Thank you so
and
much.
Thank you for what you're doing, along with your. I see Rob Hinton back there at the West Virginia Broadband Council, and many of those in your room are making private investments to expand broadband here in the state of West Virginia. And what Zayo is announcing today is really an enormous shot in the arm to all of the efforts that many of you have made. Many of you know that when I was first elected to the Senate, I decided that expansion of broadband was absolutely critical for us to diversify our economy, to transition like you're trying to do every day, Governor, and sure. Senator Carmichael as well. And you've got the ship going in the right direction, but you can't do it if you don't have the canals or the rivers, which is the broadband deployment, the fiber. And that's what Zayo is announcing today. It's going to be great news for parts of our state, the part of our state having represented the 2nd Congressional District that really is difficult to serve and has the least deployment of broadband in the state. So when I think about broadband deployment, this is what I think about. I think about a small business being able to send photos or sell their wares anywhere in the world, but they have to be able to transmit the data. I think about our children who are tasked with an assignment when they leave the house, when they leave the school. I always ask for a show of hand, Governor, of the students that are connected, and only half of them will raise their hands. You know, many people live like to live and do live in the more remote areas. Well, that child, when they come back to school, if they can't do their homework, they're behind. They're behind already when they walk back into the classroom. Behind in that classroom, but think about all the classrooms around the country and really around the world who are much better connected and much able to do classroom work. And that's the elementary and junior and senior, but it also extends into higher education as well. I think about a lot of our seniors who are maybe far away from a healthcare provider, and the ability to transmit telehealth, to be able to have them monitor their blood pressure or monitor their sugar count or whatever they might be with a home health or an ophthalmologist who may be 200 miles away. What a game changer that is for our telehealth. And we know that our universities are engaged in this along with our healthcare systems, but if you don't have the connectivity, you can't do it. You just can't do it. And then there's all kinds of other things. The governor will like this, precision agriculture. That's a big one. And it's big, probably not as much for West Virginia, but for the larger farms and ag producers all around this country. Being able to connect while you're on your tractor or whatever is going to give you greater productivity. And then lastly, even the tourism industry, to be able to connect and reconnect, disconnect while you're recreating and reconnect is an important facet, along with all the economic development. And all this is the driver of, announcement today is a driver of putting us in the right direction. My Capito Connect plan is what I started. I want to be your partner with the USDA, the EDA, the Appalachian Regional Commission, all these federal dollars that are being committed to rural broadband with the FCC. This is where I can be your partner with the private partnerships, and I think we can get it done. So thank you all very much, and thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Brother Carmichael, you've got to lead us next.
All right, well, I'll say a few words.
We're going to let the superstar bring up the rear.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for being here, and for Senator Capito for your leadership on this issue at the federal level, for Governor Justice, and to Zayo. For your commitment to West Virginia and to the economy of our state. As we're talking about this in the context of a broadband expansion, we're also speaking of the business development, the comeback story in West Virginia, the investment by private sector industry in West Virginia. And I've talked with our friends from Zayo here recently, and they've told me how welcoming West Virginia has been for their investment opportunity and for their the ability to expand business in our state. This is a testament to the changes that have been occurring in our state over the last several years under the leadership of Governor Justice and Senator Capito as it relates on the federal level. We are on the comeback. And one of the things that have been a deterrent, perhaps, is the broadband delivery system in our state. We've talked about it, we've heard about it, and we're not talking about just a single line across the state of West Virginia. This is a massive, massive data transport scenario. It's big pipe, and it does a lot to move the needle in West Virginia. There are all kinds of private sector investments that can now accumulate to this big broadband pipe. So this is a great day for West Virginia. It really cannot be overemphasized. This is a testament to the changes that are occurring in our state, to the broadband connectivity that Shelley spoke about, the personalized aspects of how this business and how this connectivity changes people's lives. So we're on the right path. It's a great day in West Virginia to see this much investment occurring for this needed type technology, and we just want to really celebrate this day. So thank you, Governor and Shelley, and we look forward to hearing from the superstar.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, Jack, again, thank you so much, and I appreciate you in every way, and please lead us. Take over. Take over.
I'm not sure I like this build up here. For the folks that I've worked with for a long time, 30 years, many of them have had to hear me say many times, I'm just a simple engineer from West Virginia, and it's a very proud moment for me. So thank you, Governor. We're excited to be here today. I'd like to introduce my team, Brian Daniels, Steve Orlando, both Senior Vice Presidents of our fiber business, and really have helped spearhead what we're doing here. We're here to announce that Zayo is building a fiber optic network across the state. The full route extends actually from Columbus, Ohio to Ashburn, Virginia, which is a pretty unique, when you think about, I've been building fiber networks for a long time, and the way we used to do it was we used to pick where all the people lived, the big markets, and connect them up. Well, it turns out that these two endpoints are actually places where the new economy is, where the web scale companies have built data centers and other huge data center operations in Northern Virginia, and that's really what we're connecting via this route. When Brian and Steve asked me if I wanted to make the trip to Charleston, I said, absolutely, I'm in. As the governor mentioned, I'm a proud alumni of West Virginia University in the electrical engineering department, for those that pass by that place every once in a while. Zayo is a fiber-based communications provider, meaning that we serve internet providers, wireless carriers, web-scale content providers, and many other businesses that rely on our network to carry their data. Our networks can handle a high volume of traffic at high speed, so we can enhance performance for the carriers and internet service providers that bring the internet to your homes and businesses. In addition, schools, hospitals, government agencies, enterprises also connect to our fiber to provide services like telemedicine that the senator mentioned, virtual classrooms. And we like to say fiber fuels innovation. This is our first investment in West Virginia, and it's a significant one. We're excited for the potential of the state. Fiber networks play a central role in economic development, and I really mean that. We should view fiber networks, communications networks, the same as we view roads and electricity and water. They're an essential utility for our constituents. Fiber helps connect the underserved and bridge the digital divide. We expect that this network will ultimately support broadband internet providers that are expanding service to rural areas across the state. We are strong supporters of affordable broadband internet for everyone, and have been a part of a number of efforts to bring broadband to schools through E-rate and other programs. If all goes according to plan, and sometimes it doesn't always work out that way, but we expect that we'll be starting construction here at the beginning of the year, and it'll take us between 24 and 36 months to complete. Brian, Steve, and their teams are currently engaged in the engineering design phase, and we expect to break ground early in the next year. We're off to a strong start, thanks to a great partnership with the state. I'd like to extend my personal thanks to the governor, to Senator Capito and her staff, Senate President Ms. Carmichael, Speaker of the House Roger Hanshaw, and CTO John Dunlap and his team, and all the other folks that we've been able to work with here up to date. You've been instrumental in helping us navigate the various agencies we need to work with to get construction launched. Thank you very much for the warm welcome, and we look forward to a great project and completion. With that, I'll hand it back over to the governor.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. Well, you know, I don't know how many different ways you can say big and amazing and appreciative and all that, but we truly are that. I mean, this is an incredible investment. And I know that, you know, Jack probably very humbly doesn't want to disclose exact dollars, but we can surely say this is tens of millions of dollars, lots and lots. This is a monstrous investment within West Virginia. And I know Jack, you know, mentioned a couple of his senior comrades. Neither one of y'all are called chief, are you? You know, but you're pretty dadgum important people. You know, I'd like to mention Mac Warner, our Secretary of State that's here, and Roger Hanshaw that's probably not with us today. But I'd like to take just a second and read you just a couple of things, just to highlight how significant this is. My notes say it's important that we find the right partners to help get this done. And today we're announcing Zayo, which is a national leader in communications infrastructure services. And they're here today to announce a project that's going to go from Ashburn, Virginia to Columbus, Ohio, going right through West Virginia. But the little part that's left out is 200 miles through West Virginia. 200 miles of construction through West Virginia. It's amazing. It's unbelievable. The network will serve as a backbone to additional broadband expansion and the first major investment in West Virginia. And, they anticipate hiring local crews for construction, which will benefit our local economies. In exchange for us giving them access to right-of-ways and facilitating the project, Zayo is going to contribute, now this is unbelievable, a significant amount of high-quality fiber to the state and possibly help us out on other important projects. To be perfectly honest, I'm a long ways from being an expert on broadband, but I've got enough sense to know that the kids of today have got to be connected. High-speed connectivity. High-speed connectivity. That's the words that really are the key of the keys. The kids have to be connected from the standpoint of everything. Not only that, as Shelley pointed out, our great senator, that maybe the sick, maybe the people that just need health help, they need connected. The obvious is you could fall off a log and say how much this is going to help our businesses. No question. Senator Capito mentioned agriculture, and said probably today in West Virginia, agriculture, maybe there's not that many that could benefit. But I would tell Senator Capito just this, and we're going to be asking her over and over and over. Tomorrow, agriculture absolutely is going to begin to move within West Virginia. There will be many, 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 many ag projects as we go forward in the years to come. There's so much that is right here at our fingertips. And as we decided we were going to build all these roads and do all this stuff, broadband has been there. And we know the importance of it. And Jack hit it right on, the nail right on the head. I mean, really and truly, all it is just a highway. It's a highway to connectivity, and it's so badly needed. So, again, I'm not your local electrical engineer, superstar expert in regard to broadband, but I get it. I really get it. And this will really help our state. The initial investment is phenomenal, but this will absolutely bridge us to the future, and it will absolutely try to catch us up in a lot of ways. I mean, we're behind. We're behind in the game. We've been behind forever on lots and lots and lots of things, but we are moving. We are really moving now. And with the great help of President Carmichael and Speaker Hanshaw and this incredible senator that we have here, just all y'all, we really appreciate you. We really do. And I can never thank you enough. So anyway, y'all clap for that. And ask us anything you choose to ask. If I can, I've got 3 great experts, and maybe we'll be able to answer your questions if you have any today.
Governor, or whoever would be appropriate, somebody told me when I came in that the route may be along the lines of rail-to-trail system. I don't know if that's reality-based or just something in conversation.
Someone's going to have to answer that other than I,
We haven't
we haven't decided exactly where we're gonna the exact right of way that we'll apply for permits on, but that's an option. There are many options along the route, so we're looking at all of them. Want to pick the ones that are the best for the state and the best for us to be able to leverage.
Let me kind of elaborate just a second on it. You know, President Carmichael is a superstar at this. He really is. He's got tons of knowledge, and he's got business experience, and he brought to my attention the other day, one of the real obstacles, you know, within West Virginia is all this state right-of-way stuff that we have that blocks and clogs everything up and everything. I'd like him to talk just a second about that and everything, because he really is a wealth of knowledge on this subject.
Well, thank you, Governor. I think as Jack had alluded to, Brad, that they'll determine the best routes and so forth. But one of the impediments in West Virginia has been, in the past, some right-of-way issues as it relates to pole attachments that you're working on at the federal level, highway rights-of-ways and those type things. And so as the governor's become more aware of those impediments, he's been instructing Highways Commissioner Smith, who I see here, to remove those impediments and to make it easier for broadband expansion and connectivity throughout the state. So I think that is a huge step forward in terms of deploying broadband throughout our state. So those type things are being addressed on a daily basis, but it will be up to, obviously, to Zayo to determine the proper routes and so forth that work best for them. But we will get out of the way in terms of putting up these roadblocks for rights-of-ways and so forth.
That's what I've said all along. I mean, you know, once we get this economy cooking, and it's cooking right now, we need to watch out that we just don't get in our own way, you know, and you know, I mean, Mitch brought, you know, to me and said, you know, some states have no problem whatsoever with you going right down the median of the interstate or going right down the median of whatever 4-lane highway it may be, but we have some issues with that. You know, well, we got to knock the bushes down. I mean, that's all there is to it. We've got to, now we don't knock bushes down that are, you know, are detrimental to our environment or whatever it may be, but for crying out loud, you know, laws that have been on the books for 43,000 years and all that kind of stuff, and they're just there, you know, that don't make any sense whatsoever. We've got to get them out of our way in order to be able to drag ourselves into the whatever century we're in.
I'm sorry.
No, please.
I'm trying to imagine how this route may affect the West Virginia communities I see, which looks like it goes right through sort of almost the quarter H area. Will there be access points anticipated to West Virginia communities that don't have them now?
Yeah, and as we construct, there are access points that are put in naturally, just by splice points and places where not to get into too much of the details. So there's a ton of access points that'll be available across the whole route.
Is there particular significance to Columbus and Ashburn, or is it just you could have a starting point and then
No, very, very significant. In Ashburn is probably the largest collection of data centers on the planet, not just in our country. Columbus turns out to be a place where a lot of the companies, the kind of newer economy companies, have located a number of data centers and have built development offices as well. So it's a natural place as well. And it's kind of on the way west to, towards Chicago. We have some other infrastructure that fits in nicely with that.
Maybe we ought to ask Jack too, in regard to space that they're willing to donate back or give back to the state, give us opportunities within to expand and do other things. Could you elaborate just a second on that? Because, that's a little over my head, to tell you the truth.
Well, we haven't gotten into all those details, but we certainly are putting in the infrastructure that we will put in will be a high fiber count for the first cable that we put in. We'll also put in extra conduit in the construction. So I think it's not an incredibly technical thing, but we like plastic pipes, and we'd like to put a lot of them in to future-proof and be able to put new cables in. So there be a ton of expansion available, a ton available to whoever we can work with.
Good stuff in my book. Good day for West Virginia.
Governor, if you're willing to take another topic, there was controversy earlier in the week about a potential settlement with the McKesson company. Senator Manchin raised the issue, and it involved, of course, Attorney General Morrissey. Are you aware of any settlement that's happening behind the scenes or on the table, and would you expect that it would be a fair settlement?
Well, I'm aware, but I'm not. I don't know the specifics to know that there's a settlement pending and all that kind of stuff in the next hours. I know this, that all the parties that are working on it are trying to come to what is a fair settlement and a fair number. That's I mean, there's no question that everybody that is involved is trying to work on just that. Now, the reality is this, and here's the deal. You know, from a political standpoint, we're 2 weeks out of the election, and no matter what the number is, you know, if tomorrow the number came out and it was 400 million, you know, it may very well be that one side would say, well, that's not enough, you know, and all of a sudden that gets all kinds of press and everything else, and it's just all kinds of hoopla and everything because we're 2 weeks away from an election and everything. You know, if the number comes out 800 million, well, that's not enough, you know, and everything, but the realistic number may be 45 million, you know, we just don't, I know just that today there's just too much politics in a number. Our people need to work through and come up with what is achievable and what is fair, and that's what they're trying to do.
One more question. You established the Blue Ribbon Commission on Higher Education, and I've been trying to follow that as I can. This week there was some pushback about whether the role of the Higher Education Policy Commission should be lessened, or the amount of funding to that agency should be lessened.
Right.
Do you feel generally like the Blue Ribbon Commission on Higher Ed is making good progress, doing what you want it to do? Do you have a feeling about whether HEPC's role should change? Yeah, I guess those are the two questions.
I think it's premature. I mean, you know, for me to weigh in and say the role should change or whatever. And the reason I say that is because here's the whole mission statement. There are inefficiencies within the higher ed community today, real inefficiencies, and those inefficiencies could lead to closures of schools in our communities that could be bad, because just to tell it like it is and get it down on my level and everything, really and truly, those inefficiencies could lead to severe financial issues with those institutions, and then they may not be able to recover. So you create a commission, and you create a commission led in lots of ways by Dr. Gordon Gee, and who has been incredibly successful in what's happened at WVU today. So I think it's premature just to weigh in and say, you know, I don't know that we ought to, you know, not take power back from these people or give them more or whatever. We'll see. They'll do good work. They'll do good work.
There has been, this is my last question, I think. There has been conversation among...
I'm glad you think.
Don't hold me to
Now,
it.
you can ask anything. I mean, Brad, I'm here.
So there's been talk among the college presidents about asking for $10 million from the governor's contingency fund,
Right.
to try to help out some of the smaller institutions before the new fiscal year.
Right.
Is there flexibility within the contingency fund, and do you favor that idea? Have you thought about it?
Well, let me tell you this. I think from the standpoint, and Mike, come up here because you can help me with this a little bit. But I think that within the governor's contingency fund, there's different levels of funding that's in that fund. Okay, and $10 million, as far as what I can access, and I think I'm right, and what I could access and touch tomorrow, probably exceeds what's there, you know. But there's another bridge to, it goes up to almost $50-some million that's there. And so, anyway, Mike could probably tell you.
Just briefly say that most of that money is reserved for flood, the big disasters that end up having to be matched. That's why it's a contingency fund. The governor's perfectly correct that we look at, even though you wouldn't maybe see it in the documents or whatever, we're at like an $8 million range for other more discretionary things. So that would break that back. And I think we'll look other directions for doing that kind of funding to higher ed.
I think there's, like I said, if tomorrow I were to say, well, I'm going to give $10 million to preserve these institutions and all that kind of stuff in smaller schools, there's not $10 million there that I had the discretion to just go and do that.
And you can do it with supplemental appropriations down the road based
Right.
on revenues.
Sure.
But just to make an unilateral decision without legislative participation, it's not there.
I've been wondering.
Are you thinking about one more question?
You know, I mean, there was an announcement from Bluestone Coal about hiring some more people.
Yeah, right.
You've taken some hits on your private investments. Is there anything you want to say about the rebounding economy and the way it's affected Bluestone?
Well, you know, that's my son that's doing that and everything. I can tell you that every day, and it just tickles me to death. I mean, every day you see more and more miners going back to work. We have the issue with Pinnacle that, you know, that was a cannonball, to be perfectly honest, but that mining operation is 50 years old. You know, 150 million recoverable clean tons have gone out of that mine in the 50-year reign. And so what happens naturally is the easy stuff goes first, and then the tougher stuff, the further you go, the tougher it gets. The further you go, the more ventilation, the more electricity, the more everything that it takes. And all of a sudden you awaken to a situation in the Pinnacle mine. They have a plow, and it's not a typical longwall that has a cutter. It basically has just a shear, and you just pull it along, you know, it just shoves along and it just moves back and forth. And there's only like 2 of them in existence today. So really what has happened to that mine is it's probably run its course, you know, but yet that doesn't do 300 people a hill of beans of good, you know. And so all of a sudden you've got great people in the Pineville, West Virginia area that are struggling. And so this announcement, you know, from a great many of them within a rock's throw of Pineville, this announcement, and I haven't really seen it, you know that you said, I knew it was coming, but this announcement of hiring, you know, I think almost 300 people, and now some of them I think are in Kentucky, so that's, you know, and maybe a few in Virginia, but that's great, and it's just wonderful to me to see people coming back to work, and you know, in regard to my companies and everything, I tell you just this, you know, and you know, I'm an open book. I just tell everything. And I'm not a politician that just kind of hides stuff and only bleeds to you what you want to hear. Let me tell you, you know, the last 5 years of financial survival with the companies that we've had, and then Jill and Jay have tried to run, it's been awful. It's just been hell. That's all there is to it. And the reason for all that is just this, is when things got so bad, so bad, I just refused. I refused to put anything into bankruptcy. Refused. I said, there's no way. We're not going to do it. And all the other companies of the universe that were in my businesses or in my industry dove in the ditch. And a lot of them today are just prospering beyond belief. And Jay and Jill are still digging. You know, now you just think about it, and this is honest to goodness truth. How could you have survived a downturn in the coal business like that nobody else survived. Everybody else took bankruptcy. Now let's just be really fair, because you should know this. How can you survive 2 giant hurricanes and a derecho and all that, and then, of all things, a 2016 flood that washed your properties away and washed the lives away of people? Now, through that time, the other little thing is you had the best insurance known to man. You turned in your claims, and the insurance companies haven't paid us. So now what you've done is you've some way crawled and scratched and done everything you could do. You've paid all your taxes that people have said, oh gosh, he's behind on this and everything. You didn't take bankruptcy because like everybody else that stiffed banks and did everything under the sun. You did the right thing, the right thing. It's been tough. It has been nothing but hell. That's all there is to it. Nobody could be happier about all those miners going to work than me. But it's been tough stuff. And for any of you that have taken a shot at some little something that was behind or whatever like that, we took all those to heart, and we're trying to address every single shortcoming along the way. But we did the right thing. We did the right thing. It would have been easy to have said, let's do this. Let's just take these bad eggs. They owe $300 million. We'll just take these bad eggs and we'll just get rid of them. And, you know, we'll cleanse everything. We'll stiff the union. We'll do this. We'll do that. Stiff vendors, we didn't do it. And it was tough. Really, really tough. Almost maybe as tough as walking into a job here and looking at the books and saying, holy crap, what in the world? This is like the revenge of toughness again. Here we go again. Same thing. But it was tough. It was tough in West Virginia on a lot of people. But it's better there too. So as we have those miners going to work, we're happy. As we have broadband coming to West Virginia, be happy. Yeah, good stuff. Thank y'all. All right, thank y'all.